I think fancy restaurants and fancy establishments are some of the biggest scams out there. But I believe that more and more of these restaurants have to tilt towards that way. So this is one of those situations where I understand why business owners are doing it, but as a consumer, I hate it. The reason that a lot of business owners are doing it is because they're learning. The worst type of business to be in is in the restaurant business. It's awful because a bunch of things can go wrong and a bunch of things will go wrong. Number one, you're always dealing with like these different food suppliers who can raise the price on you out of nowhere. Number two, you have to effectively do projections for what units you're going to get so you can stick it in your warehouse so the food doesn't go bad and you wasted a lot of money. Three is you got to pay like for service workers. Four, you got to deal with mean reviews that could obliterate your business overnight. It's just a bunch of different stuff that sucks. And that's why a lot of these restaurant owners fail in the beginning. And in addition to that, they can't really pay their employees because the restaurant owners are making low margins themselves. That's why they introduced the concept known as tips, right? Tips are a way to really put the onus on the consumer for the restaurant owners having, no offense, having chosen a failing business model, which I get. Like, if you need consumers to pay tips so you guys can consistently make food and serve it to the public, I'm for that. All right. I'm not against that. But what's happening is that nowadays, like, there's a lot of consumers. They're learning to cook. They're not eating out as much and they're not tipping as much. So these places nowadays, they have a problem. They're like, our margins are low enough as it is. I mean, we can't go any lower. What are we going to do? And then they're like, okay, well, like, let's raise the prices. And they can't just raise the prices out of the blue moon. They need a certain brand for that. And that's why these high ticket restaurants are now coming up, because now they could always have the cop out like, sir, we're not a Dunkin' Donuts. We're a place that serves El Bruno, right? Like, they have this artistic vibe to them. And nowadays when consumers come, they're being sold a narrative. It's pretty much the same ingredients, by the way, but they're being sold a narrative that's like, yes, I mean, this place has El Bruno. And the other person that they're with is like, what's an El Bruno? And now this person feels like an artist themselves because they're indulging in this expensive food that's virtually the same as something that is not as expensive. And now they're explaining it to their buddy like, oh, let me explain to you what an El Bruno is. One of the biggest scams out there. And it doesn't matter how much money I make. These type of scams never appeal to me, right? Like, I have no reason to go to one of these fancy restaurants, pay $100 for this tiny meal where after I eat it, now I gotta go home and cook myself the real meal. Like, I have no desire for that at all. You see, where some people, like, they really desire that. Like, they really want to go to Salt Bay's restaurant and drop a couple of grand. I get it for the experience, but overall, like, going there consistently has never been my thing. And I don't quite understand how anyone can be sold on these types of lies.